Namo Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatara Satasri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I hope all you are doing well. Today we'll be reading from chapter 26, Nectar of Devotion, Simulation for Ecstatic Love. Stimulation for ecstatic love. So before we begin, let's pray first. If you have not listened our previous video, please check out from our playlist. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaivo Narattamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatum Jayamudiraye. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्य नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रश्चात देशतारिणे. So let's begin. Chapter 26, Stimulation for Ecstatic Love. Something that gives impetus or stimulation to ecstatic love of Krishna are his transcendental quality, his uncommon activity, his smiling feature, his apparel and garland, his flute, his bow, his buffalo horn, his leg bill, his conch shell, his footprint, his place of pastime, such as Vrindavan, his favorite plant Tulasi, his devotee, his periodical occasion, and remembering him. One such occasion for remembrance is Ekadasi, which comes twice a month on the 12th day on the moon, both waning and wakshing. On that day, all the devotees remain fasting throughout the night and they continuously chant the glory of the Lord. Krishna's transcendental quality, his uncommon activity, and his smile. As far as Krishna's transcendental quality are concerned, they can be divided into three groups: quality pertaining to his transcendental body, quality pertaining to his transcendental speech, quality pertaining to his transcendental mind. Krishna's age, his transcendental bodily feature, his beauty, his mildness are quality pertaining to the body. There is no difference between Krishna and the body. Therefore, the transcendental feature pertaining to the body are the same as Krishna himself. But because they are the qualities stimulate the devotee ecstatic love, they have been analyzed as separate cause of that love. To be attracted by the quality and Krishna means to be attracted by the Krishna himself, because there is no real distinction between Krishna and his quality. Krishna's name is also Krishna, Krishna's fame is also Krishna, Krishna's entourage is also Krishna, Krishna, and everything related with Krishna that keep the stimulation to love of Krishna are all Krishna. But for our understanding, this item may be considered separately. Krishna is a reservoir of all transcendental pleasure. Therefore, the impetus of love of Krishna, although still seemingly different, are not actually distinct from the Krishna himself. In the technical Sanskrit term, such quality as Krishna's name and fame are accepted as both the reservoir of and as a stimulation of the love for Krishna. Krishna's age is considered three period from his appearance day to the end of the fifth year is called Kaumara. From the beginning of the sixth up the end of the 10 is called Pogandya. From the 11th to the and 15 year is called Krishna. After the beginning of the 16th year, Krishna is called Yovana or a youth. Or and can this continue with no change. As far as Krishna's transcendental pastime are concerned, they are mostly executed during the Kaumara, Poganda, and Kaishara period. This his affectionate pastime with his parent are executed during his Kaumara age. He his friendship with the cowherd boy is exhibited during the Poganda period, and his friendship with the gopi is exhibited during the age of Kaishara. Krishna's pastime in Vrindavan are finished by the end of the 15th year, and then he is transferred to Mathura, Dwarika. where all other pastimes are performed. Srila Rupa Goswami gives us a vivid description of Kausara as the reservoir of all pleasure as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Here are the some part of the description. Krishna's Kausara age may be divided into three parts. In the beginning of the Kausara age, there is at the beginning of the 11th year, the luster of his body becomes so bright that it becomes an impetus for ecstatic love. Similarly, there is a reddish border around his eye and the growth on the soft hair on the body. In describing his early stage of in the Koisara age, Kundalata, one of the residents of the Vrindavan, said to her friend, "My dear friend, I have just seen the extraordinary beauty appearing in the person of Krishna. His blackest the bodily hue appear just like the Indranila jewel. There are the reddish sign on his face there, and the small soft hair are coming out on his body. The appearance of the symptom are made and extraordinarily beautiful." In this connection, in the 10th canto, 21st chapter, verse 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukdev Goswami tell King Parikshita, "My dear king, I shall try to describe how the mind of the gopi becomes absorbed in the thought of Krishna. The gopi would meditate, the gopis would meditate on the Krishna's dressing himself just like a dancing actor and entering in the forest of Vrindavana, making the ground of the footprint. They meditated on the Krishna's having a helmet with a peacock feather and wedding earning on the hair and yellow gold color garment covered with a jewel and the pearl. They also They also meditated Krishna's blowing in the flute on the cowherd boy singing the glory of the Lord. That is the description on the Krishna on the meditation of the gopi can use to perform. Sometimes the gopi would think about his soft nail, his moving eyebrow, and his teeth, which were color from the chewing pen. The one description was given by the gopi to her friend. "My dear friend, just see how the enemy of the Agha has assumed such a wonderful feature. His brow are just like a bow of cupid, and they are moving just as they are dancing. The tip of the nail are so soft. It is as if they are dried bamboo leaf. His teeth reddish, and so it is assumed a feature of anger. Under the circumstances, where is the chances for a young girl not to be attracted by such a beautiful feature and not to be afraid of becoming victim of such a beauty? Krishna's attractive feature are also described by Brinda, the gopi, after Brindavana was named. She told Krishna, "Sito, my dear Madhava, your newly invented smile has so captivated the heart of the gopi that they are simply unable to express themselves. As such, they have become bewildered, will not talk with other. As all of these gopi have become so affected that it is as if they have offered their three sprinkle of water upon their life. In other words, they have given up all hope for their living condition. According to the Indian system, when a person is dead, there is a sprinkle of water on the body. Thus, the statement of Vrinda shows that gopis were so enchanted by the beauty of the Krishna that because they would not express their mind, they had decided to commit suicide. When Krishna arrived at the age of the 13 and 14 year, his two arm and chest assumed as unspeakable beauty, and his whole form became simply enchanting. When Krishna attained 13 years of age, his two thighs were challenging the trunk of the elephant. His rising chest were trying to come to be stocked with a door of jewel, and his two arms were minimizing the value of the bolt found in the door. Who can describe the wonderful beauty of this feature of the Krishna? The special beauty of Krishna's body was his mild smiling, his restless eye, and his world enchanting song. They are the special feature of the age. There is a statement in the connection that Krishna on arriving in the age manifests such beautiful bodily feature that is restless eye can become the playing and the cupid, and his mild smile resemble the newly grown the lotus flower. The enchanting vibration of his song become the great impediment. The young girl who was supposed to remain chaste and faithful to their husband. At the age Krishna enjoyed the Raslila, exhibiting his power of joking with a cowherd girl and enjoying their company in the bushes of the garden by the bank of Yamuna. in this connection there is a kind of following statement throughout the whole track of the land of the Vrindavan, and there were the footprint of Krishna and the Gopi. In some places peacock feather were kind of striven about. In some places there were nice kind of bedding in the kind of bushes on the Vrindavan garden. And in some places there kind of were kind of piles of dust kind of due to kind of group dancing, and the Govinda and the Gopi. These are the kind of some feature kind of which are due to indifferent pastime invented by the Sri Krishna and the place of the kind of Vrindavan. There is a following statement by one Gopi describing Krishna's attractive feature during this age. My dear friend, just see how all of a sudden in the sky Krishna was powerful rising sun, and how this kind of rising sun is minimizing the ray of our chastity kind of moon. Our attraction for Krishna is so intense that it is drying up the lotus flower of our discrimination, and we are losing our senses in deciding whether we shall continue as a chaste woman or gonna be victimized by the beauty of Krishna. My dear friend, I think that would have lost all hope of life. In Kaishwara age, the beginning from the 11th year, from the continuing of the end of 15th year, Krishna's arm, leg, thigh become marked with three divisional line. As at the time of Krishna's chest kind of challenged on the kind of heel of the Makarala kind of jewel, his arm challenged the kind of pillar of the Indranila kind of jewel. The true line of the kind of west, the true line of the kind of west, challenging the kind of wave of the river of Yamuna. His thigh challenged the beauty kind of full banana. One copy said, with all this exquisite kind of feature of his body, Krishna is too extraordinary beautiful, and therefore I am always thinking of him to protect me because he is a killer of all demon. The idea expressed in the statement is that the Gopi were comparing their attraction for Krishna to the attack by the demon. So, to counteract their attraction for the kind of beauty of Krishna, they were also turning to Krishna's hopefully because he is a killer of all, killer of demon. In other words, there was the kind of perplexed because on one hand they were attracted by the beauty of the Krishna, and other they needed Krishna to drive away the demon of such attraction. The Kaisara age can be translated as adolescence. At the at the end of his kind of period, all the kind of gopis said Krishna is a killer of attraction of the Cupid. As such, he disturbed the patience of newly kind of married girl. Krishna bodily feature have so become so ex- become have become so exquisite. It is as if they were all manifesting an artistic sense of the higher sort. His dancing eye can have the kind of dimmed the brilliance of the most expert dancer. So there is no longer as a kind of comparison to the beauty of the Krishna. Learned scholar therefore describe the feature of his body as a mind of the Navo Yovana, newly invented youthfulness. As at this age of the Krishna's bodily feature, the conjugal love affair with the gopi and similar pastime become very prominent. There is a sixth feature of the conjugal love affair called the peacemaking. Picking a core, kind of quick to kind of meet owners, kind of love, sitting together, separation and support. Lord Krishna expanded and impaired of the sixth feature, of which he was the kind of ruling prince. Somewhere he was the kind of picking gold with the young girl. Somewhere he was scratching them with the nail of parrot. Somewhere he was busy going to visit the gopi, and somewhere he was negotiating through cowherd friend to take shelter of the gopi. Some of the gopi address him thus, dear Krishna, because of your adolescent stage, you have just become the spiritual master of the young girl, and you are teaching them to whisper among themselves. You are teaching them to offer solemn prayer, as well as training them to cheat their husband and to join you in the garden at the night without caring for the instruction for their superior. You are enthus You are enthusing them by the vibration of your enchanting flute, and as their teacher, you are teaching them all the intricacies of loving affair. It is said that even when Krishna was a boy of 5, he manifested such youthful energy, and learned scholars do not explain them because of the absence of suitable age. Krishna was beautiful because every part of his body was perfectly arranged without any defect. Such perfect bodily features of Krishna are described as follows. My dear enemy of Krishna, your board, your broad eye, your rising chest, your two pillar-like arm, and thin middle portion of your body are always enchanting to every lotus eye beautiful girl. Lotus eye beautiful girl. The ornament of the body of the Krishna were not actually enchanting his beauty, but just as the reverse. The ornament were beautified the Krishna. A person is called mild when he cannot even bear the touch of the most soft thing. It is described that every part of the Krishna's body was so soft at the even touch of the newly grown leaf, the color of the touched part of the skin would change. In at the Koisar age, Krishna and Devi were always bent towards arranging the rasa dance as well as towards killing the demon in the forest of Vrindavana. While Krishna was engaged in enjoyment with the boy with the girl within the forest of Vrindavana, Krishna used to send his associate to kill Krishna, and Krishna would show his prowess by killing them. Krishna's apparel and garland. Generally, there was a four kind of garment of the body of the Krishna. His shirt, turban, belt, wearing garment. In the Vrindavan, he used to put the reddish garment with a golden shirt on his body and the orange colored turban on his head. The different kind of belt combined with his enchanting smile used to can always increase the transcendental bliss of his associate. This dress of Krishna is described as gorgeous. As a baby elephant and sometimes dressed with a colorful clothing, so Krishna's gorgeousness was manifested by decorating with such a colorful clothing on the different part of his body. A kalpa refers to texture of the Krishna's hair. He is nicely dressed bodily, annotated with the sandalwood bulb and decorated with the flower garland. His tilaka, his chewing pan, Krishna was decorated constantly in his the Akalpa process. Krishna's hair was sometimes decorated with a flower placed on the middle of the hair, and else it was reaching down on his back. In this way, Krishna graced his hair differently at the different time. As for the ornament of the body, the pulp of the sandalwood generally appear to be white, and when it is mixed with the saffron dye, it appeared to be yellow. Krishna used to put the Vaijayanti garland around his neck. The Vaijayanti garland is made the flower of at least five different colors. Such as the garland was always long uh, to touch Krishna's knee or feet. Beside the garland of the flower, they were kind of flower garland too. Sometimes decorating his head, sometimes hanging around his neck and chest. Artistic painting with sandalwood pulp and colored sandalwood were also to be found on the body of Krishna. One gopi address are found and began to praise the bodily feature of the Krishna. She praised his blackish complexion, the reddish color of the chewing pan in enhancing the beauty hundred of time. The curly hair of his head and the kumkuma red spot on his body and tilaka on his forehead. His helmet, his earring, his necklace, his garment, the bangle on his head, the ring on his finger, his ankle bell on the floor. These are the different feature of the Krishna's ornament. Krishna, the enemy of the Agha, always looked beautiful with incomparable helmet with helmet, his earring made of diamond, his necklace of the pearl, his bangles, his embroidered garment, and the beautiful ring of his finger. Krishna is sometimes called Banamali. Bana means a forest, Mali means gardener. So, Banamali refers to one who expensively used flower and garland on the different part of his body. Krishna was this not only in Vrindavan but also the battlefield of the Kurukshetra. Seeing such colorful dresses and the garland on the different flowers, some great sages prayed Lord Krishna was going to battlefield and Kurukshetra not to fight but to grace all of the devotee with his presence. Krishna's flute. As far as his flute is concerned, it is said that the vibration of the wonderful instrument was able to break the meditation of the greatest sages. Krishna was thus challenged by challenging. Krishna was thus challenging Cupid by advertising his transcendental glory all over the world. There are three kind of flute used. There are three kind of flute used by Krishna. On one is called Venu, one is called Murali, and third is called the Bamsi. Venu is very small, not more than inches long, with six hole for whistling. Murali is about the eight Murali, 18 inches long. 18 inches long with a hole at the end of and a four hole on the body of the flute. This kind of flute produce a very enchanting sound. A bouncy flute is about the 15 inches long with a nine hole on his body. Krishna used to play on this three flute occasionally when they were needed. Krishna had a longer bamsi, which is called the Mahananda or Shamohini. When it is still longer, it is called Akarshini. When it is even longer, it is called Anandini. The Anandini flute is very pleasing to the cowherd boy and is technically named uh, Bamsuli. There is this flute or sometime uh, bedecked with jewel. Sometimes they were made of marble and sometimes of hollow bamboo. When the flute is made of jewel, it is called Sammohini. When made of gold, it is called Akarshini. Krishna's buffalo horn. Krishna used a buffalo horn as a burgling instrument. This instrument was always highly polished and circled with a gold hand, and on the middle there was a hole. Regarding this instrument, there is a metaphorical statement about the gopi's name Taravali. It is said Taravali was bitten by the most venomous snake of Krishna's flute. Then, in order to neutralize the poisonous effect, she drank the milk produced by the buffalo horn in the hand of Krishna. But instead of decreasing the poisonous effect, it increased in 1,000 times. The gopi was thus put into the most miserable poisoned condition. The attraction of Krishna's leg bill. A certain gopi once stated to her friend, "My dear friend, when I heard the sound of the leg bell of Sri Krishna, I immediately started to go out of the house to see him. But most regrettably, my superior were present before me. Just at that time, I could not go out. Krishna's counsel. Krishna's counsel is known as a Panchajanya. The Panchajanya is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna sounded it before the battle of Kurukshetra. It is said that when Lord Krishna's blow on his transcendental conch shell, the wife of the demon becomes subject to abortion, and wife of the demigod become blessed with all auspiciousness. In this way, the sound of Krishna's conch shell used to vibrate and circulate all over the world. Krishna's footprint. It is stated Srimad Bhagavatam that when the Akruda who drove Krishna from Vrindavana to Mathura saw the footprint of Krishna on the land of Vrindavana, his ecstatic love for Krishna increased so much that hair of the body stood up. His eye became overflowed with the tear, and in such ecstasy he jumped out. He jumped out of the chariot and fell down on the ground and began to chant, "How wonderful this is! How wonderful this is!" Similar feeling was expressed by the gopi when they were going to bank of Yamuna, saw Krishna's footprint in the dust. When Krishna walked on the ground of Brindavana, the mocked of his soul, flag, thunderbolt, fish, a rod for controlling elephant, a rod for controlling elephant, and lotus flower would be impetuous upon the dust of the lake. The gopi become overwhelmed simply by seeing those marked on the ground. Krishna's palace of pastime. One devotee has exclaimed, "Oh, I have not." as yet visited the wonderful place where the pastime of the Lord were kind of performed. But simply by hearing the name of the Mathura, I have become overwhelmed with joy. Krishna's favorite plant, Tulasi. Lord Krishna is very fond of Tulasi leaf and bird. Because Tulasi and a bird are usually can offered up the lotus up to the lotus feet of Krishna. A devotee can once can pray to the Tulasi can bird to give him some information about the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus devotee expected that the Tulasi can bird would know sometime about the glory of the Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna's devotee. One may sometime become overwhelmed with joy by seeing the devotee of the Lord. When Dhruva Maharaj saw the two associates of Narayana approaching him, he immediately stood up and sincere respect and devotee and devotion and the reminded before them with a folded hand. But because of the ecstatic love, he could hardly can offer them a proper reception. There is a kind of statement by the gopi who addressed Subala, a friend of Krishna, my dear Subala. I know that Krishna is your kind of friend, and that is that you always enjoy smiling and joking with him. The older day I saw you both standing together, and you were keeping your hand upon Krishna's shoulder. The both of you were joyfully smiling. Two of when I saw two of you standing like that in the distance, my eyes at once become overflowed with tears. Special days for remembering Krishna. There are many statements about the festive day in the connection with Krishna's different activity. One of these festival day is Janmashtami, the day of Krishna's birth. The Janmashtami day is the most opulent festival day for the devotee, and it is still observed with a great pomp in every Hindu house in India. Sometimes even the devotee of other religious group will take advantage of the auspicious day, enjoy the performance of the ceremony of the Janmashtami. Ecstatic love for Krishna is also aroused in the day of Ekadasi, which are other festive day in the connection with Krishna. So here we conclude the reading of Bhaktivedanta purport from chapter 26, stimulation for ecstatic love. I hope all you understood. Now let's go into the insight. Please listen till the end. Hare Krishna.
So, what is it that sparks that feeling of profound, just ecstatic love? Well, in the Vaishnava tradition, the answer is, well, pretty much anything connected to Krishna. Today, we're going to dive into the specific things that are said to awaken this incredibly powerful devotional feeling, all based on the classic text, Bhakti Rasamrita Singhu. First, we'll get a handle on what this ecstatic love even is. Then, we'll explore Krishna's own personal qualities, dive into the sensory world that surrounded him, and finally, we'll look at the lasting traces he leaves behind for his followers. So, our source text lays out this really fascinating idea. For a devotee, the lines between Krishna and the things associated with him start to, well, they just dissolve. Everything becomes a potential trigger, a spark for that devotional fire. And here's the core of it, right? The idea is that Krishna's name is Krishna. His fame is Krishna. There's absolutely no separation. And what that means is that engaging with any of these things, his qualities, his stories, his followers, is a direct way of engaging with the divine itself. And just look at this list. It's incredible how extensive these catalysts are. It covers literally everything, from his personality and his smile to the instruments he plays, the places he walked, and even the people who love him. We're going to touch on a bunch of these in the next few minutes. All right, let's get to the main event, the primary stimulus, Krishna himself. The texts are incredibly detailed about his physical features, his specific age, and his actions, all of which become the central focus of this incredible loving devotion. So his youth is kind of broken down into 3 key stages. And while they're all important, the one that's most connected to this intense, ecstatic love we're talking about is the Kaishora age, his adolescence, from about 11 to 15. This is when his captivating beauty is said to really, truly blossom. And this quote just captures that moment so vividly, doesn't it? This isn't just a physical checklist. It's a devotee's totally awestruck reaction. Every single detail, from the color of his eyes to the soft new hairs on his body, becomes this source of absolute wonder. And then you have his smile. I mean, listen to this. This quote describes his smile as so powerful, so completely captivating, that it just renders the gopis, the famous cowherd girls of Vrindavana, utterly helpless. But what in the world does that last phrase mean? Sprinkles of water upon their lives. Okay, so this is the crucial context. This isn't just some casual compliment. It's a really powerful metaphor. The gopis felt that their old way of life, their ordinary existence, was just over. It was completely eclipsed by this overwhelming enchantment of his smile. They were basically dead to the world they knew before. And you can see here how the descriptions just move into this epic, almost mythic territory. His body isn't just described as beautiful, it's described with these metaphors of immense power and natural grandeur. I mean, look at these comparisons. His thighs challenge elephant trunks. His arms are stronger than door bolts. It's a beauty that's both incredibly powerful and graceful at the same time. This quote really captures the internal struggle that this intense beauty caused. The chastity moon here represents their sense of duty, their social rules and propriety. But that moon is just completely washed out, completely outshone by the rising sun of their attraction to Krishna. And this leads to this really profound psychological paradox. Their attraction feels like this demonic force, something so powerful it's actually threatening to overwhelm them. And yet the only person they can possibly turn to for protection is the very source of that overwhelming feeling. Talk about complicated. Okay, so now let's broaden our focus a little bit. We're going to move from Krishna's person to the world of sights and sounds that surrounded him, his clothing, his flower garlands, and, of course, the iconic instruments he played. The texts list out all of his many ornaments, but there's a fascinating twist. You know, we tend to think of jewels and nice clothes as things that make a person more beautiful. But here, the idea is completely reversed. It was Krishna's own beauty that actually made the ornaments themselves shine. A really key part of his attire was the Vaijayanti garland. Just try to picture this, not just any little string of flowers, but one that was so long it actually touched his knees. And it was woven from at least 5 different super vibrant colors. It's just another example of how every sensory detail is packed with meaning. Now, his flute is probably his most famous accessory, right? But the texts actually get super specific and mention 3 different types. You've got the small venu, the incredibly enchanting Murali, and the 9-hole Devangshi. And each one was apparently used for different occasions and created different effects. And the sound of that flute is described with just incredible intensity. This metaphor, being bitten by a venomous snake, is so powerful. It perfectly captures the idea that his music was completely irresistible. It was intoxicating, and it was absolutely life-altering. It was like a poison for your old way of life. And hey, it wasn't just his flute. The sound of his conch shell, the panchajanya, is described as having this powerful dual effect. For his enemies, the sound was terrifying and destructive. But for his devotees, that exact same sound was a source of immense blessing and pure joy. So finally, let's look at the things that spark this love. Even when Krishna isn't physically present, the traces he leaves behind on the world. From his literal footprints to the community of people who follow him. Get this, even Krishna's footprints were a source of ecstasy. The texts say they were imprinted with all these sacred marks, like a thunderbolt, a fish, and a lotus flower. Just the sight of these marks in the dust of Vrindavana was enough to make one devotee, Akrura, so overwhelmed with love that he literally jumped from his chariot and just fell to the ground. And that feeling, it turns out, is contagious. The source explains that just seeing other devotees, or even just seeing Krishna sharing a happy moment with a friend, could trigger those same ecstatic feelings in someone watching. Devotion, it seems, inspires more devotion. It's like a beautiful chain reaction. And this devotion is also structured right into the calendar through these special days of remembrance. You've got Janmashtami, which is the huge celebration of his birth, and then you have Ekadashi, which happens twice a month, a dedicated time for fasting and focusing more intensely on spiritual practice. They're like built-in moments to reconnect. So when you really put it all together, what you're seeing is a spiritual path that is deeply sensory, deeply tangible. From a smile to a footprint, from a flower garland to a melody, every single physical detail becomes a kind of doorway to the divine. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. Across all traditions, how do these physical objects and sensory experiences become the very language of our spiritual feelings?